Welcome to the comms edition of the Wolf Den. Now, comms stands for communications and paintball, airsoft, and what have you. Radios are effective. Now, I'm going to show you how they're effective, why they're effective, and when they're effective. Yes, on today's episode, we're going to talk about comms, radios, communications, how we keep in contact with each other on the field, in these big games, why you need them, and the different types of ways to communicate with these things. Let's get into it. It's going to be an interesting episode. Hit that subscribe button and hit that like and let your friends know we're doing this. This is good for paintball, airsoft, a lot of sports. All right, so let's get into it. Now, this is going to be a very quick video because I'm going to go over the basics of communication technology. When it comes to paintball, you can get really complicated when it gets into these things, but this is going to be the entry level to mid-tier level communications for paintball and airsoft, just to keep it simple for you guys, because you can get really lost in this world. Now, please note, depending on the country, state, province you live in, there are some FCC, or I can't remember the communications, whatever laws. So you have to be careful when you're programming these things. If you're programming your channels, there's VHS, there's UHF, there's a whole bunch of different protocols. Make sure you follow your local laws. Be careful and don't infringe on law and authorities' wave patterns. All right, so let's get into it quick. There's a whole bunch of different types of radios out in the world, and what we mostly rely on is something easy, cheap, and that is the Bofang, all right, or Puxing brand. Yeah, all right. The Puxing and Bofang both have a lot of different styles of radios, which are extremely good, and they go a long distance for the price that you're paying. Right now, you can play. I get these almost by the dozen because you can lose them so much. By the way, don't trust your friends who lose radios easily. I get a lot of these radios, and you can get these for like $10 to $20 each. Just look up Bofang on Amazon. You can get them fairly quick, and they're very cheap. Some of them are programmable, some of them are not. If you have the right cables, you need a special cable to program these things, so be aware. The Puxings are a very, very good brand. Whoops, you can do a lot of channels on these things, and some of them are programmable. So look up specific reviews on these radios also if you want to get these. Now, the reason why you want these types of radios and you don't want to just go to your local Canadian Tire or just Walmart, get type of those plastic box radios, is that these will get through all the trees in the bush that you're playing in, right? And that's why I love these things, because they can reach a long way for a very good, slow budget, right? And one other thing you will need, unless you want everybody here position, is different types of headsets that we're going to get into right now. And one thing you will need is a PTT connector, that is a push-to-talk connector that goes into the sides of these radios, and they go on your vest. I'll be showing you in a few seconds. They go on your vest, and then they go in a different headset that you're going to use, right? I got this from Airsoft, Canadian Airsoft Depot, I think they're called. The more expensive ones you buy, the better, because these things die easily. So if you get a $20, $50 one, it's going to die a lot faster than a $100 one, all right? So be aware. And make sure you get the ones that are compatible for your radio. This is a 2-pin. You've got 1 pin. You've got different type of pins. So talk to your... I'm just going to leave. Talk to your establishment before you invest in one of these and a headset. And let's get into the headsets. See you in a sec. Now, if you're just going to go and play a rental game of paintball with a group of your small friends at a small field, you don't need radio communications, okay? One good thing you could use your radios for is if you are going on a birthday party or what have you, and you do have radios, you can leave one at base with mom or dad while you and the kids go out and play, just in case of emergencies. Other than that, you don't need them. What we use radios for are those really big games on those really big fields when you've got between 500 and 4,000 people and you're a commander and you need to keep your troops in check, You need to talk to them because communication is key to winning those battles. And you need to talk to your different units that are out in the field. That's when you need good radios. And one thing as a general that I found to have been pivotal in these big games is that when teams bring their own radios and comms, they leave one at base with the general and they go out in the field, and you can keep in touch with each of these units and teams. And instead of talking to 500 different people, you talk to the leader of a big crew, and then he conveys his message to that crew, and you go from there. All right, so that is the best way to communicate with a big team. And like, just pay attention to the radio etiquette. Things like, don't take up the airwaves with garbage, all right? Don't talk to your friends about the club you're going to be going to that night after the big game. Keep the chatter low, easy, and informative. And the less you talk, the better. But, you know, if you're under attack, you call for backup. If you let your generals know where the enemy positions are, if missions are done, you radio out missions from the head base, etc. So, let's go over the basic setups, and we'll go take it from there. This is a basic Bofang radio I was just talking about. Now, basic standard radios come with different type of pin setups. Make sure you have the right headset or comms pin setup for your radio. Now, usually radios will come with a headset, and they're very reliable. All right, very simple. The pin goes into the side where the PTT is. Now the PTT is a push to talk button. Oh, going to the opposite side. This is the push to talk button. Some radios will have like a light on it or a squelch button, and those are used for different numerous things. Now, this is a very simple earpiece system, right? Very easy to use. And if you need to keep in contact with your crew, they're cheap. If you break them, you don't care too much. And all you need to do is you attach that to your ear. Press the button down here to talk. Testing, 1, 2. My radio's over there. That's all you need to do for these types of radios, all right? Now, again, very simple, very easy to use, and usually keeping it simple is the best way. So what you see here is my real setup. Now, what I do is, and what you're going to need is a good teammate or someone on your team to help you, because I put my radio on my back, all right? And then the PTT button goes in the radio, and I loop it through, going over my shoulder, and I got the button to talk right here. So you press that, talk into here. Now this is what we call a hard set, okay? You got two headsets, you got a hard connector up here. We call this a hard set, or there's tons of names for them. I call them a hard set. And they're very cool. They can go over top of your goggles setup. All right. Sometimes I use it. Now these have electronic hearing. All right, which means that it has electronic hearing. You can hear what's around you. All right. When the volume gets too high, it dims the volume so it doesn't mess up your ears. Kind of like the real things do. I got these at Airsoft shop, so they're not the really expensive ones. Okay. But they do work great. Now, I find them a little bulky, so I don't use them much nowadays. And again, this is what I have. This comes from my back, all right? Plugs into the radio. And this is a much bigger button to use than the little one that comes with the radio, okay? All right, you see the little button that you can barely see here compared to this thing. All right, this goes on my vest. So if I'm in a firefight and it's going crazy, I don't have to search and like try and find a tiny little button or anything. This is right here. It's rugged, it's hard. Boom, talking to my command, I'm done. All right, now why I use headpieces, like you can easily just walk around with your radio up here, all right, and you don't need any type of headpiece or anything, but it's going to be loud and give away your position. That's why we use headpieces, all right? Now, another thing you can use is a throat mic setup, all right? Now, this is what you sticking out here. It wouldn't normally go like that. I just put it in quick. Now, this is what you see in the movies a lot are these throat mics. And essentially you have the earpiece here, which is normally behind the ear type of thing. And then you have the actual thing that essentially it monitors the vibrations in your vocal cords. Whole bunch of science involved. And instead of having, the whole big setup, they just go like this. Much lighter, much faster. And I do not recommend these throat mics. If you're gonna get a throat mic, if you want one that actually works, you're gonna be paying more than $1,000 for a good, effective throat mic system. All right, and there are some guys who do that. Hey, if you got the capital to do that, feel free. But if you're spending like a couple $100s on a throat mic, it's gonna suck. Plain and simple. I've never heard of a good throat mic system for under $500. You got to spend the big bucks for a good throat mic. And hey, if that's what you want to do, feel free. But it's not my thing. It's a little too much. Next. Okay, this is my soft system. All right. Now, I call it soft system because you've got one ear. You've got this very soft material that holds it onto your head. And it plugs into the universal adapter for your mic. And Bob's your uncle. Now, why I love this type of setup is that it's perfect for when you're wearing hats, and especially for paintball and airsoft when you have to wear helmets. You dig? So essentially, there, look at that. My goggles go comfortably on right over top, and my comms are still good, and it's not bulky or anything. It just feels amazing. It's lightweight, everything. You could even put a tactical helmet on top, your tactical helmet, if you have one, on top of this system. And I'm not going to do it now because I haven't, whatever. And these soft things aren't going to get in the way. Whereas you're wearing a pair of these, too bulky. All right. Now you can also, if you're wearing a tactical helmet, you can get their earpieces on their own to clip onto the rails onto this and wear it that way on top of your goggle system. Now that's another very fancy one, very cool. If you want to do it that way, feel free. But this is my setup. This is how I like doing my comms, and it's very easy, very effective. And these soft top ones are actually cheaper than your regular hard top ones. All right, so again, these are very simple layman's terms. I'm not get into all the real technicalities of that. This again for new guys who want to get into radios and all that stuff for playing paintball and airsoft and other things. This is your basic setup. Very easy to use, on the go. And again, communication is key in sports like these, especially when you're playing on big fields with a lot of players and a lot of chess pieces moving around. Your general will thank you for carrying a radio. Be careful who you lend your radios out to, because I've lost no less than a dozen of guys who are running around in the bush and just, there's a lot of guys who aren't equipped for it and they just put them in their pockets and they lose them. It's like, you just got to be careful who you lend them out to. All right. So if you have any questions, ask down below. This has been the radio edition by Wolf. I hope you learned something today when it comes to communications. And yeah, have fun out there. I will see you in the tall grass.